they're not affected by this. My solution to this is growing anything that is for the consumption use is an agricultural operation. If you are going to grow marijuana to use or to sell or whatever you're going to do, because the individuals growing it down the street from me, I know they are dealing it through their mailbox, because their mailbox is in front of my house, and I have cars that don't live on my street, that aren't in my vicinity, constantly at that mailbox, day and night, all the time. My daughters are not allowed to go down the street. I have a daughter who's 5 years old and who's riding her bike. She knows she is not allowed to go past X point because I don't want her in front of their house. Two tremendous dogs that terrify me, and I am not easily terrified. If they want to grow marijuana in this county and you guys want to allow it, my proposal is that we make it zoned agricultural only. I do not see a reason why it has to be grown in a house, in a shed, in a backyard. You don't see the farmers out here growing alfalfa in a backyard. They grow it on a farm. They grow it places that are zone appropriate. And it should be the same for this. It's just one more crop.
Hi, my name is Nina. I live here, and I own my property. Would it be any different if I grew vegetables? It's no different. I mean, I use medical, I go to the doctor and get pills. I don't smoke it, but I don't see anything wrong with somebody growing it that needs it as long as they got it in their home, their property. I mean, y'all got bad neighbors, I'm sorry. You know, that's something you take up with the law on that one. They're just bad neighbors. But I mean, it's no different than anything else that's in the world. I mean, cantaloupes are growing schemes, something god awful, make me sick to my stomach. And it's not right. These people need these meds. And to be so centered on the smell. And please don't wear no perfume. And the guy next door to me that's got a garbage can because he doesn't want to pay for the garbage pickup is not right either. And we should do something about that. That's just my opinion. Sorry.
Hello, my name is Dr. James Snell. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist in Lassen County. Been a therapist for about 25 years. My first 4 years I was a drug addiction therapist. You know, one of the things I think we have to realize about marijuana is not the drug of the 60s. It is about 10 times more potent than that, and it has a bunch of other chemicals in it. I've read about 420 above chemicals that are in marijuana that wasn't back in the 60s, right? But I think marijuana is one of those drugs people want to minimize a lot of times, right? So, and in Lassen County, we have a lot of issues with fetal alcohol syndrome and with drug addiction. We don't need any more. And that's kind of where I'm coming from with this, where, you know, the drug inside of marijuana is THC. That's the drug that helps people. I think it does help some people medicinally, right? And so I'm not completely against that. What I'm concerned about more is how many plants they're able to grow for a single person. And I would really feel more comfortable if they got the 215 card people got their medicinal marijuana from a regulated kind of pharmacy or place. So we can kind of keep a grip on it. I don't believe that one leaf or one bud of a marijuana plant should go to anyone except that person that's prescribed it. Because it's a medicine at this point. And when it's a medicine, if I get a bottle of medicine from Walmart, I'm responsible for that medicine. Right? If I have to keep it locked up, keep it from my children, so forth, so on. And I don't think that, you know, a kid who's 15 should be able to jump the fence and grab a plant and go take it out with his buddies. This is supposed to be for medicinal use only. So, just like any other medication, it needs to be regulated. You know, if you go to Walmart, I don't know if you've ever been there at lunchtime and tried to get prescription, they bring down that steel door on you, right? And you think, wow, that's really regulated. Well, this is now medicine. And so how come we shouldn't have regulations in place that would also keep this kind of medicine in place with the person it's prescribed to only? Right? Because that's what this is medicinal purposes. What I think is that what we really have to do is actually, and I don't know what kind of agencies we got going, develop an agency of some sort within the county that would regulate those things. I think that every person who's got a 215 card should be accountable for every plant they grow somehow. Just like if someone had a prescription for some other medication, they need to know what those medications, or where those medications are and what they're for. And that 10 of them didn't just go someplace. Right? I also think that, it needs to be grown in a secluded area, highly protected, away from neighborhoods and children. So it doesn't mess with the values of property, but more than that, again, a person doesn't buy a property to have someone grow 99 plants next to them, and then all the process that comes with it. And so far, I've heard a couple of people talk about how their plants, these people have all these plants, and then the fences are broken down, not regulated. Anyone can go get those. And then I think about kids and addiction, because we have to think about the next generation. And I think about bringing crime into this situation where, hey, if you're a drug dealer and you can get a bunch of plants, you're going to go do that. Who's going to stop you? What's going to stop you? Well, we need structures in place. It's super high fences, dug deep, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. Buildings that will keep this to the people that it's meant to be. And I also think that as a taxpayer, we shouldn't have to pay for any agency that Lansing County would create to do this, that it should be taxed on the medical marijuana people or the growers or something like that. And that it shouldn't be left up to the sheriffs to do it. They've got enough to do already. Thank you.
I too live in Janesville. I live across from the road Ms. Chandler was describing. Answer some of the questions, some of my concerns, and some of my solutions would be reduce the size. You got to stop these people with 99 plants. I can tell you what happens when you get a large grow. You get 15 to 20 vehicles from Nevada. You get people jumping over fences at midnight. You'll be remodeling your daughter's bedroom while their guard dogs attack your dog, one by the throat while the other three rip it apart, and then the sheriffs come. As far as the smell, I've lived on my property for 26 years. I didn't buy that to have my quality of life destroyed. And that's what's happened. I understand Lansing County Sheriffs, I thank them. They've done everything they can. But why and when does it stop? Why is my quality of life being affected? Why is my daughter's? Like we said, they can't go to school. My son has dropped the garbage on the way to take the garbage out. I don't know how many times. He wants to shoot the dogs. I'm begging him not to because they're going to kill my dogs. This is not right. It needs to be addressed. They have taken axes and cut my pine trees and killed 2 of them. The gentleman tells me, I'm sorry, I had meth heads watching this last year, Mr. Buchanan. He's there now. We're in constant battle. And sir, Mr. Burns, I didn't know about this until I was at work. I've been in a lease since we came here. I got a paper, but it was way too late. But anyhow.
Glad you're here, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm asking for you guys' help, support. The list is long. I had carved bears out in my driveway. They ran those with me. I don't back down. I'm not going to. But when's it going to stop? And I'm asking you guys to help me. Make it a smaller limit. If this was 1 or 2 plants, if this was for your own use, we wouldn't be here. This isn't what... I'm asking for your help. Take it into consideration, please. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. I found out about this meeting when I walked out and brings handyman back into town. My neighbor said something about it. I'm John Abbott. I'm a retired police officer. I work narcotics enforcement in Southern California. I signed the law. I was also a defense investigator, so I've seen what happens in the others. People here are talking about a whole bunch of things. I live in Lake Forest. Lake Forest is a little different than some of the others. We're like a residential tract in town dropped in the forest. Lots are on like 100 feet wide, quarter acre, half acre, with the next door neighbors 10 feet away from your house. We do not have street lights. We are in the sheriff's patrol zone. And when I drove out to look at it, we've got somebody who's put up this kind of ugly plywood-sided fence. Well, when I bought my house at Lake Forest, CC&R say no fencing. We don't have any commercial property within our community. I don't really have a problem with people smoking marijuana. The voters said it's all right. I was a police officer in Southern California when the law changed, making it an infraction, turned into a $75 ticket. The legislatures were kind of saying, okay, small amounts for personal use is no big deal. But the problem is, like with Lake Forest, we have no street lights, we have no 24-hour-a-day police patrol presence there all day long. It's a dark area. And unfortunately, as a police officer and as a drug enforcement officer, marijuana grows attract people who want to steal it. Just because somebody is growing for a medicinal use does not mean somebody else is not going to come over there and kick his fences down and kick his door in to get the drug. If a person has a prescription for drug use, I don't have a problem with it. The voters said that that's all right. But I think what the board needs to do is take a look at the specifics. A couple of years ago, you had a bunch of residents from around the county come in complaining that cars were driving too fast. You ordered a speed survey. And what the speed survey say? The speed limits are too low, they should be raised. But you had constituents who said, we don't want it. So what you did is you chose to follow your constituents and lower the speed limits. I don't have a problem with commercial marijuana, but if it's commercial, it needs to be on commercially zoned property. We do not need it at Lake Forest. If they want to have it out in Janesville, that's fine if the property is zoned for commercial use. Stop trying to treat this as a marijuana is good or marijuana is bad. The voters have said, we're going to allow some of this. Treat it as a business, get it out of the residential areas.
Carol Byers. They covered a lot of points that I was going to address, but one thing that hasn't been properly addressed is that I think it's too easy to get the doctors to give the medical marijuana prescriptions. I know a lady in Reading, her son who's perfectly fine, he has one of those, I guess it's called 215. And also it's going to bring down the property values in those areas, because who's going to want to move there? I mean, you're going to have, if you want to move away, you're going to have trouble selling your house because nobody's going to want to move in there. Anyway, and then, like I said, most of the other issues have been covered. Thank you.
My name is Christine Dallimore. I live in town. My name is Christine Dallimore. I live in town. I'm a medical marijuana user. I also grow for myself. I can say that I've always tried to respect my neighbors and their rights to keep my grow under my fence line. My grow, that's been determined by my doctor. I can't say that it was very easy for me to get to one, but I did. And they determined what I'm allowed to have. What I'm afraid of is I own my property, and my husband and I are both disabled. I don't have a lot of resources not to grow another growth light or a covered fence with a cement. I don't have the money for that. I can barely do for my medical as it is. I just want to say, to ask that y'all be careful about what you determine is going to be the best thing for us to do. I can't zone agricultural. I can't go out and buy a commercial property. All that I have is what I have. That's all I have to work with. I don't know. I feel for these people with the 99 plant grows. I can assure you I don't have one, but I see the problems that they have with their neighbors. I can't control that. I don't know what to say about that, but I just want, to consider, maybe reconsider having a dispensary in town or in the county that's accessible. There isn't one for counties around for us to go to, and I'd rather go to a dispensary at this point because my health is failing. It's getting harder and harder for me to do my own needs. Just want to put that out there for you. Considerations to consider.
Question?
Sure.
And you answer your question.
Well, I have no question.
You can ask. You don't have to answer.
Yeah, you said that you grow this when you're a doctor.
Yes.
How many plants is that?
Up to 19.
Up to 9.
Up to 19.
Do you grow them inside or outside?
Outside.
Okay.
And they don't get that big, I guarantee. This year, I only had 9 that lived. And most of them were only about 4 feet. So I really didn't get what I'm anywhere near what I'm allowed to, according to my doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Annie Westbeck. I live in the city. I have about an acre, and I grow my medical marijuana. And I have other people at my garden who live on the property, and who don't, who get some medical marijuana. I have not formed a collective. I want to. And I would like to provide medical marijuana for patients that need it in a vulnerable dispensary. That said, I want to comment on the 99 plant grow. When I heard that some doctors were giving these, I was aghast. I thought it was a joke. You've got to be kidding. That's just wrong. So I'm kind of appalled that the law enforcement hasn't gone out there and done something about these 99 plant grows. I totally commend Bob Burns for his knowledge and his following this and his understanding of watching it from a legal perspective. I too read daily and try to watch videos and keep up with what's going on with medical marijuana. And how some doctor could just decide that 99 plants are okay when 420 guidelines tell us 12 and 6. Are we going to follow the law that we've got? That's all I'm asking. If the law calls for these, if they're more than guidelines, if we can stop these kinds of problem grows where there are dogs, and yeah, they have to protect their crop, and they become, you're talking about, 300 pounds of marijuana coming out of a 99 plant grow. And it's absurd. Law enforcement's got to know it's absurd. Legally, read the laws yourself. If we can stay within the law and provide medicine to patients that need it, I have a roommate that has cancer, that has a vasectomy, that can't be here today, and people that really need it are going to be hurt by not being able to have it because we're not keeping the law. People that are going to be hurt because they're growing 99 plants and they're not being a part of the law. So if we can come together and find a law-abiding way to conduct our medical marijuana without people going to some doctor, and I think if you busted a few of them, let's see that doctor come forward and tell us how they needed 99 plants. I'd love to hear that one, because this is getting to be ridiculous. The whole thing is getting to be ridiculous. And it's going to take all of us to solve it. People that want to provide for medical marijuana people that need the medicine, and people that don't need it for profiteering. They don't need to be out there growing 99 plants. And it's not an industry. I've heard people say that. There shouldn't be an industry to it. If they think that, maybe they should go to the country that legalized it in South America, because it's not here. We need our regulations. We need to get medical marijuana people at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, just kind of on the legal front, as I understand it, the 99 plant reference is more of a reference to federal sentencing guidelines than anything. In 1996, when they passed Prop 215, I think essentially, and it should be noted, that was an initiative of the people that got it on the ballot, that ultimately got it approved by the voters, as compared to a legislative enactment. And that's an important point, because Prop 215 did not set out necessarily a limitation in terms of plant numbers, if I recall correctly. But the legislature, in its infinite wisdom, attempted to do so in a clarifying act in Senate Bill 420 in 2002. The problem with that was, what was enunciated in the Kelly decision, that the legislature may not limit what the people pass by initiative. It is essentially an undoing of the people's will, which was expressed in 96. And so therefore, the plant count numbers that were expressed in SB 420 in 2002 essentially have no effect. The law is, as I understand it, one may cultivate for personal use with a medical recommendation, or as a primary caregiver, an amount which is reasonably necessary to treat the ailment that the recommendation was issued for in the first place. So that point of order, I think, needs to be made. The second point of order is, again, the 99 plant reference was a reference to the federal sentencing guidelines, where, there's this weakness going on in California law in terms of enforcement of marijuana laws, but if you can show as a law enforcement entity that someone's cultivating 100 plants or more, you might get the feds involved, because under the federal sentencing guidelines, they're going to get a serious federal prison sentence, but anything short of that, they won't. And that's the reason that that number is referenced, and for what it's worth.
My name is David Van Sickle. I'm a Lake Forest resident, retired. I appreciate your patience. There's going to be a lot of comment today. I don't think anybody's here debating the legal premises under which marijuana can be grown for personal use. There are some of those that would not have voted for that, but it is now codified law, and so we will accept it as law. What is, I think, debated here is zoning issues. I think Dr. Snell brought up something very interesting about the fact that when a person has a prescription for, let's say, a drug like OxyContin or something like that, they are responsible for guarding that prescription to keep that out of the hands of those who it is not designed for. If you live in the state of Florida and you've got OxyContin in your possession without a prescription and you're caught with it, you're going to get a mandatory time in jail and a big fine. So why I bring that up is because I think it's incumbent upon the people that grow medical marijuana to, they have to take care of their crop, to keep it out of the hands of those who it's not designed for. It would be children and non-marijuana users. Now that means that they've got to secure their compound to keep those out which would come in to take the marijuana from them. And we know that marijuana is not like growing turnips. It doesn't. Nobody's going to come into your turnip field and grab your turnips. Although I think maybe one time, if the farmer caught you stealing watermelons, he might whoop you. But today, marijuana attracts a lot of unsavory characters who want to steal the crop from others who are growing it, and because of its attraction, not only financially but also what it does for the person who smokes it. And so, consequently, what's going to happen, it is happening, is it's just turning Lassen County residential areas into zones which can become very dangerous. Not only the guard dogs. If a person grows an appreciable amount of marijuana, they're going to be very guardians of that, and so they're going to be taking precautions that would not be needed in a normal neighborhood setting. Not like you're trying to guard your lawn or guard your tomatoes. And what's happening is it's going to turn a lot of quiet communities like Lake Forest into little mini war zones. And we don't want it. If they want to grow their marijuana, fine. If they want to use it medically, fine. Get it out of my community. Okay? And I won't even go on and on about what I think it does to our community. And I think it violates zoning laws. They're using up water that's very precious in our community. If the drought continues, they're using up water for a crop that ought not to be grown there. And so I'm all for regulation. And if as long as California says it's legal, fine. Grow it someplace else besides in residential communities that brings so much controversy and also possibly some unwanted problems to that community when those people that bought those homes there and have lived there for a long time like I have did not bargain for it. And so I'm asking for you guys to regulate and to be in control of that and to make those people that grow marijuana for medical use, to make them to guard their products so that it can't get into the hands of our school kids and other people that would access it or be seeking to climb over that fence. And I, for one, don't want to live in a prison, by the way. I've worked in the prison out there, and there's a lot of razor wire out there to keep guys in, but these people are going to work to keep people out of their crops. So it isn't just unsightly fences. It's everything that goes along with guarding something they see as being very valuable. And that brings it to our community, and we didn't ask for that, and we would appreciate your intervention in that, guys.
My name is Paul Threshold. My wife and I bought a 5 acres beautiful property in Janesville 20 years ago because we love living there, and also because it's our biggest investment. And recently I spoke to a client of mine who's a real estate broker, and she told me that if we were to put our biggest investment on the market so that we can retire, that we would have to disclose that there's a marijuana grower next door to us. And to me, that says that the business community, which I'm a member of, recognizes that this use of land is a negative and to the local property values. And so I think that if you do take that into account as you're looking at an ordinance to restrict or control this issue, that should be taken into account. I know a lot of other issues have been covered, so I don't need to be redundant by repeating what they were talking about, but this is maybe something additionally that needs to be considered as we move forward. So thank you very much.
Morning, afternoon. My name's Ian DeBello. I'm a resident of Lake Forest. just let everybody know that I'm a very friendly person. If you have any kind of questions, just let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. I agree very strongly with regulation. I don't think that people should just be able to do whatever they want, anytime they want. I don't think people should have